But anyways, sticking to this, I feel like Fisk is going to use this as potential leverage. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that's going to end up thinking, you know what, maybe he's right, because yeah, he did do some stuff in the past, but there's also been people in history, historical figures that have done a lot of bad stuff, but then they're going to be, redeeming themselves. And we also see that with a lot of potential political history that we see now that's unfolding, and it's a scary symmetrical um thing, and honestly it is scary to see that. But compared to what's going on now, to compare what's going on in this series, there are still people that they don't like the different things that are going on, especially with the way how things are handled. And for me myself, I'll just only say, as much as I don't like to get political about it, I don't like the way how things are being handled. But when I see this, I also think, Daredevil does show a point where, yes, political, whether it's, leaders in general, they're going to have their good and their bad. But there are those that they have more bad than good. And even though that they're trying to redeem themselves, the problem is that in our society today, there's a lot of judgment that goes into play. And there's a lot of times that where people are so dead set on one thing, where you make one mistake, you are toast. You are just done for life. And the thing is with Fisk, what makes it interesting is that he's a type of villain that can easily sway somebody, like pretty much easily, especially because that's something that you rarely see with so many other different villains that we've seen in the MCU. Kingpin is one of those where he has this interesting persuasion that he goes and he knows where to target somebody. He knows where to mentally target somebody in their life, whether if it was from a previous experience, and he'll use the "when I was a boy" type of thing, or like he'll go and he'll use some of his own thing, of him, with him just being like, "I used to do this. I used to be in a life of crime, but then I met Vanessa, and it was the thing that made me try to be better." And he's gonna do stuff like that. He's gonna end up doing stuff like that. And he does things to where it's being an instigator. He knows how to manipulate people, and he knows how to do it well. He knows where to get you. And that's where it comes to me, where, like I said before, that Fisk is an antichrist like figure. He is someone that he likes to claim that he's doing something for the better of people, but it ends up being something that he's benefiting himself because he wants power. It's like how the enemy likes to have power. Here's the thing, and I'll just get into a little bit of this spiritual talk right here that I feel like is necessary. When it comes to something like when somebody wants power because of a few reasons, and this is just only my personal opinion. They want power because they want to feel like they're not so small. And it's understandable for a lot of people, because that when we're in situations that we have been in places where people have talked us down, we feel like we're not going to be self-valued, and we're not going to be valued by any other person. So people would like to have that power to be able to have others gain that respect, for them. And it ties into kind of like where with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, how Norman Osborn's belief of with great power comes great respect, and tying it with this is kind of like the mindset that Fisk has. And it's like the same thing with how with the enemy the enemy loves to do this mind trick on, it's like with great power comes great respect, and how the enemy likes to have great power in trying to manipulate people and trying to destroy lives and trying to destroy a person's morality and trying to put us in this spot where sin is the thing that will get us to be happy. And we know that there's sin that's going to make us happy, but then we also know that there's sin that's not going to make us happy afterwards, and that we're going to get out of it. And the thing is that the enemy loses power from that. And yes, there's a lot more sin in this world than there was back before, when Jesus was around back on earth. But the thing is that, the enemy still doesn't have a lot of dominion over us, because as it is said in the Bible that, humans will have dominion over the earth. Yes, humans do have dominion over the earth and over everything, but they also do have dominion over the enemy, because when, as it showed in the Garden of Eden, that the Lord went and told Adam and Eve saying that the future generations will crush the head of the snake and that it'll show man's dominion over the snake and over sin. Right. But the other thing is that there are times where we're wanting to go and dive into that sin. And it's because of people like Fisk. It's because of people like Fisk who go in and they just want to be able to use it for gaining their own benefit. And that's how the enemy works. And that point, it's so interesting to see that we're starting to see more of Fisk's other side come back to the point where it's now you really don't know if his life is being blurred or not. You can't even tell if it's really Fisk or if this is Kingpin, which is a very interesting thing. And speaking about Kingpin, I'm very surprised about Vanessa on how she went and she told the dude, she basically told him, shoot him right over at the restaurant. Just boom, right there. But the other thing that what I'm also wondering is if that wasn't like, because it could be interpreted as two ways, and correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like this could go two ways. Either Vanessa really wants the power to the point that she wants Kingpin dead, or she's doing this to make her moves slowly like a game of chess to where she's moving her pawns for those who are more loyal to her before Fisk came back, and she's wanting to have them offed off first before she can make her ultimate move as the queen on the chessboard, so that way she can be where Fisk is at and even somewhat greater than him.
I think, yeah, it was an unspoken agreement between Vanessa and Fisk to, you know, that's loyalty, right? And that's the loyalty they'll have. Like, if a guy just gonna sneak up on you and tell you, like, okay, let's take him down together, he's gonna be like, nah. Vanessa's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. So I think that's a way to, because at the end of the day, Vanessa's trying to appease the king, right? No matter, even if Fisk is basically, he's trying to do his own thing as a mayor, at the end of the day, like, Fisk at his heart and core is the king of crime. That's his name, that's his sauce, that's what he knows. And I feel like that's what he's gonna do. And with the help of Vanessa now by his side, not even just as like a confidant, but more as a partner, especially in this crime, literally a partner in crime, then yeah, I feel like she'd rather have the upper hand that way than work with lowly scum and like people who are just lower. In fact, they're lowering the tier of the crime syndicate. So might as well work with the guy who knows the game well, and basically, even if she doesn't love Fisk like that no more, I still think she would still work with Fisk as like what's it called, because Fisk has the ultimate power in the streets. So
I feel like one of the interesting things about this is that, like you mentioned about how Vanessa has this interesting developed relationship now with Fisk, I also feel like, I don't know if this is a possibility that this could happen, but I mean, there is a potential thing where I feel like, do you think that there's a possibility that if Fisk decides to go ahead and leave everything dealing with crime and the mob to Vanessa, and if he does something wrong as mayor to cover everything up, do you think that it's a possibility that he might actually end up just throwing her under the bus if he ever came under investigation of some sort? Or do you think that he would actually stay loyal to her, especially if he's trying to gain more power in and trying to be something bigger in New York?
That's the thing that's interesting, right? Because the thing about Fisk, right? When he was doing this stuff back in season 1, right, where without Vanessa, he was doing it just because that's what all he knew. But now with the support of Vanessa, he's doing it, and it's fueling him to be better, right? To be better and to be stronger as this crime boss, right? So I don't know if he would ever throw Vanessa under the bus. I just can't see that in Fisk because he's done so much for Vanessa. Literally risked his entire he literally risked so many resources on Vanessa and to bring her back here. And now she's now running things. I don't know if he would ever. I don't think he loves the business enough to throw Vanessa under the bridge. But I do think that he would. He would definitely find his underlings, the people who he doesn't care for so much, he would definitely throw those guys under the bridge for sure.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I can understand. And what's interesting is that this is really a Fisk centered episode. Like this really is something. It was barely anything with Matt. If you kind of think about it, this is more centered around Fisk than anything. And I think that when you have episodes that they center around your villain, I think it's one of the best things that you can do because of how you could really flesh out a villain very, very well. And when I see that villains are being fleshed out in this way, it's such a perfect thing to where you can actually see their side of life, their side of the situation. And I think that Fisk is just honestly one of the most complex Marvel villains that we've ever gotten. Because yeah, I think Thanos was complex, but I think up to a degree, because in a way it's like people can debate on was he right, was he wrong on snapping half the universe out of existence. And he was just one of those complex villains. But he wasn't as complex as Fisk because that as putting it as in the things of Shrek of how ogres are like onions, they have so many layers. I think that Fisk is like an actual literal onion, not because of him looking like Humpty Dumpty like my mom says, but I think it's more of like how she. Thanks, mom. The way how he literally has so many layers to his life, his personality, his backstory, his current life right now, and the power that he's had and the current power that he has and the possible future power that he will get. It's incredible to see that there's a villain that actually can fully be very, very, like, very complex. And it's, to me, like I said, way more complex than Thanos. To me, I think that he and Magneto are on top par of complex villains. And honestly, Magneto in certain X-Men media is not even really much of a villain. Like X-Men 97's Magneto was not really much of a villain character, but was just more of an anti-hero character in a lot of ways. Now that I think about this, but Kingpin is literally a full-fledged villain that you want to love him because of how great Vincent D'Onofrio is portraying this character, but also at the same time, like you want to hate him. You want to love to hate him because of how sinister he has been and what he's doing now. And he's like at this point, like you don't even know what you're going to get. You do not know which side of Fisk you're going to get. Are you going to get the mayor side or are you going to get the mob side? And this is just one of those things that he's one of the scariest villains out there. And I feel like, even Magneto can be one of the scariest villains out there because he's a Shakespearean theatrical type of a philosophical villain in some media of the X-Men. And it's just, now that we're getting Ian McKellen as Magneto, I mean, we're going to definitely see this side of Magneto that maybe we haven't seen, like how with Patrick Stewart when he came back for Multiverse of Madness, of course we saw the same old Charles that we always did, but with Magneto it's going to be a lot different. And that's the great thing about the Multiverse Saga, just to put it out there too, is that they're doing things in ways that you're bringing characters from the old stuff, like the Fox universe, like the Blade movies, like the Fantastic Four movies, like Daredevil and Elektra with Ben Affleck and just Jennifer Garner. And then you're bringing in the Netflix shows and you're bringing in all these different characters. And what I think that Marvel is doing so well is being able to write these characters in a way where they're integrating them into this multiverse story or even a street level story. And they're doing it in a way where it doesn't feel like it's forced, but it feels more like a natural state. Like everybody knows that when Patrick Stewart came back as Charles Xavier, it felt natural because it was the Illuminati. Same thing with Anson Mount coming back as Black Bolt from the Inhumans series that honestly I haven't seen yet. I'm going to watch it with my mom and we'll see if it was as terrible as what people said. But then, I'm in the minority when it comes to certain things to where I do like them. So I definitely will give it the chance. And then, we see all these other different variants, like with Captain Carter, with Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel, and then John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic. And, it was an interesting way how they wrote them in to make it make sense for the multiverse. When they wrote Charlie Cox's version of Daredevil into Spider-Man No Way Home, this is where we saw the beginning. Well, parts of the beginning, because that realistically, it was a way that they wrote it so well to where you're like, really? Like, you weren't like, really? He's in this, and you're not expecting it. But they wrote in his character like he actually fit. And same thing with Kingpin when they wrote him into Hawkeye. It felt natural. And now that we're here at Daredevil Born Again, and then with Kingpin being in Echo, which I recently rewatched about a month ago with my mom, the more that I see these characters in, the more that I feel like this whole thing makes sense, the more that I feel like they have been a part of the MCU even before Disney legitimately regained the rights to the Defenders shows and these characters. And that's what I feel like Daredevil Born Again does so well. So I'm hoping when it comes to the next two episodes, I'm hoping that we get some sort of arc in terms of with Bullseye, in terms of with Daredevil, with Kingpin. Hopefully, we can see Karen come back in either episode 8 or 9, which I honestly feel like, if anything, she's going to come back in episode 9. I don't think she's going to come back in the next one because I think that they're going to save her as a season finale type of character. Like, she's a season premiere and a season finale character. So I don't doubt it that she'll come back. But if they bring Rosario Dawson's Claire back, oh, I will absolutely lose my mind. I would be super happy. As I've said before, Rosario Dawson, when she was in the Netflix shows, she was incredible. Like, she was literally the Nick Fury of the Netflix shows that I definitely felt like it was necessary for her to have in these shows. And if they bring her back, ooh, I'm going to be so happy. And if it is true that the Defenders are going to team up in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, dude, we are on the right path. And honestly, I'm now even more excited for Frank to come back. Which, speaking about Frank, we haven't seen in a while. Do you think that he's going to be in the season finale, or it's going to be the next episode?
Oh, I think he's definitely in the season finale. I have a feeling that season finale is gonna be a two-parter or something. I know Bullseye is gonna be in. I have a feeling Bullseye is gonna be in episode 8 or 9,
Mm-hmm.
if not both. I'm hoping he's in both because I love Bullseye, even if he killed Foggy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. There's gonna be so many things going on, and next week's gonna be so exciting. I'm like, man, I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be awesome, dude.
Do you think that there's any characters from the Netflix shows that we might end up seeing as like a really big hidden surprise at the season finale? Or do you think that what we are gonna just get is just like the traditional ones that we've seen here? Like we get Daredevil, we get Kingpin, a Bullseye, we possibly might get Karen, and then of course we're gonna get Frank. Like, do you think that there's any other Netflix Defenders characters that we're gonna get in to set it up?
I do think, like you said, like the rumors might be that the Defenders might be teaming up in season 2. We'll see. Those are just rumors. I'm not sure, but there's definitely I don't know about cameos necessarily. I do think Karen's coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that apparently Eldon Nelson's supposed to be coming back, but I don't know in like what capacity. Like, it's supposed to be like a flashback or something else entirely.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be really interesting with that too. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by the final 4 episodes, by the final 2 episodes, and how it really segues into season 2, which they're currently filming. Which, if you've seen the spoilers and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be very intriguing to how they work that out. I'm really excited.
Definitely. I mean, I really want to see more of like his interaction with Karen. I want to see how Matt's going to heal up his relationship with Heather. And then I was like, why did I think Angela? But then I was thinking the little girl that was Angela. So that's where the little mix up came in. But like, honestly, I want to see more of how this is going to be handled. I want to see where Matt's situation with Heather is going to be. I'm wondering if she's going to break up with him if she realizes that Daredevil is Matt, especially with her stance on vigilantes who wear masks and that they're technically that she considers them cowards. I want to see her stance on where that's going to stand, and I want to find out if the other what was the name of the other lawyer? I forgot what her name was. Like, the other lawyer, if she's gonna find out who Matt's identity is, like who he really is, because I know Cherry knows that Matt is Daredevil, but I want to see if the other lawyer, if she's gonna find out who Matt really is, and if she does, if it's going to be something that's going to be either like a cliffhanger for episode 8, or she's going to find out in the like in some point in episode 9, or it's going to be both. I mean, I would love to see that happen because I think that, they could work well with each other in that capacity. And same thing with the detective. I forgot what her name was, but I think she and Daredevil would make a pretty good team. There's a lot of characters in this one that I think that if you team Daredevil up with any of them, I think that they'll definitely make a very good team. So I can't wait to see where that's going to head. Again, this is one of the best. This is one of my favorites. But I also feel like you said, the fight scene between him and Muse was a little choppy. But I honestly did like the choppiness because there is this sense of distortion, and the fact that you're kind of seeing it from, if you want to put it in the terms of like, you're kind of seeing it from Heather's point of view, where she's lost a lot of blood and things are always going to be choppy when you're weak and you don't feel like you have anything in your system. So maybe that's what they were trying to go for in terms of stylization, but I honestly could be wrong. But I can understand where you were coming from with the choppiness of it. This did have a lot more surprises than I was expecting, because of the other episodes we'll get like some surprises, but episode 7, they're raising the stakes, they're raising the ante on terms of surprise elements. And I think that at this point, I think that this is going to be one of the shows where I say it's going to be a satisfactory conclusion to one season that's going to leave people wanting more. And hopefully this is going to be like the beginning for the Defenders on getting their own shows back. So I hope that, for Kristen Ritter, for Mike Coulter, for Finn Jones, and of course for John Bernthal, who's getting his own special, I hope that the rest of the Defenders, they get their own shows on Disney Plus and get a revival, because I honestly think that they do deserve a revival, especially with Finn Jones's Iron Fist, because as I've seen the show, I can understand where a lot of people do say that it is the weakest one out of all the Defenders ones. And if you have seen it, maybe you probably might understand. If you haven't, when you do watch it, I think we'll definitely, discuss on it, and hopefully you might see where people are coming from. But honestly, I really do feel like Daredevil Born Again is the necessary step to take in order for these characters to be truly, truly integrated back into the MCU, where I think that they belong. Now that I honestly feel like Daredevil does actually have a home, and that this is the most solidifying thing to Charlie Cox's Daredevil being residing in the main MCU timeline.
Yeah, no, definitely, dude. I mean, I still haven't watched Iron Fist, I won't lie. And honestly, I haven't watched any other Marvel Netflix show except for Punisher and Daredevil, just because, I mean, I had Netflix for the time, and then it all got sent to Disney Plus, and now I don't have Disney Plus. So now, I'm just like, okay,
Mm,
at this point, I'm just not gonna force it. If I watch it, I'll watch it out of interest. If, I'm not gonna force it if I don't like it. And I
right.
haven't heard great things, and I don't know. The little bits I've seen from Iron Fist didn't really intrigue me at all. So yeah, it's just something like, okay, I'll watch it if I have the time, like a lot of time on my hands. So
Right.
not even just like an hour on my time. If I have like 8 hours of time and I have to go cut time, might as well, right? But
Right.
yeah,
Well, it definitely is one of the weaker ones, in my opinion, if not honestly the actual weakest one out of all of the Defenders shows. Because honestly, for me, like I said, it's Daredevil at the top, and it's gonna be, for me, it's Daredevil, then it's Punisher, then it's gonna be and then I'm gonna change things around, because I honestly am gonna put Jessica at number 3 now. I'm gonna put Defenders at 5, Luke Cage at 4, and then Iron Fist at 6. And it's not because that, honestly, I would have loved to put Defenders up a little bit higher, but honestly, the more that I watched Jessica and the more that I watched Luke Cage, when I got into their second season and or third season, depending on the show, honestly, I started loving their characters more, and I was like, you know what, I'm putting them up there. And to me, it's like, if you ever seen House, to me, Jessica Jones is such like a great comparison to like the female superhero version of House. Like he can be a jerk, but he's so straightforward to the point that he's a lovable jerk, and that's what I love about Jessica. She is exactly the same way. She's straightforward about it. She has her trauma and she has her issues, but she is one of those great characters. And I do hope that with her, the rumors of her coming for season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, I hope they're true, because that she honestly is such a great character that the more that I watched it, the more that I love her. So I really hope that this is what they do for season 2, because Daredevil Born Again, honestly, in my opinion, I'm gonna put it out there, my favorite one out of the Disney Plus MCU shows now. This easily solidifies it. As much as I do not like the cussing, the blood, and this and some of the other stuff that I can't put up on YouTube for the reactions, honestly, with the message that it gives, with the fact that they dive into faith a lot because of Catholic beliefs and Christian beliefs, honestly, my favorite show out of all of the Disney Plus ones, and that's crazy to say.
Yeah, dude, I absolutely agree. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, okay, I really did like Loki season 2 a ton. Um, what's it called? X-97 was really great too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Born Again is definitely not what I expected going into it, but definitely it's I think it's a refreshing take on Charlie Cox's Daredevil and Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. It's very um I wouldn't say it's something that I think viewers should definitely have their expectations tampered a little, because you do wanna go in not expecting a lot of Matt, but a lot more. No, not expecting a lot more Matt than Daredevil. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, that is the soul of Daredevil, right? It is Matt Murdock, and it's that type of stuff where, yeah, you got to tell the viewer and the audience, like, yeah, this is a reinvention of Matt Murdock whilst trying to stay true to the Netflix version.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it does still feel like a new show, and I think I understand why they called it Born Again than Daredevil season 4, because it isn't really Daredevil season 4. It's a whole new thing while maintaining the canon and the spirit of Netflix's series, which I 100% agree. Um, Definitely, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I do think I really hold a lot of um oddly, I still hold a lot of nostalgia for WandaVision and my viewing experience with WandaVision. I don't think it's the best made series of that, and I look back at some clips and I'm like, dang, that don't look that great. But I remember looking back at the show. My experience with the show is just absolutely spectacular. It was a fun week to week watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my same experience with you and Daredevil Born Again, right? Like the week to week experience, like this is a very unique experience for me. Watching with someone else. So yeah, this is a lot of fun, and
Mm-hmm.
I do think, yeah, it's if these next 2 episodes, man, if they go off, man, yeah, it would definitely be my favorite series out of these Disney Plus shows, and I'm absolutely happy to say that if that's the case, because I love Daredevil, I love Netflix's Daredevil, and I love the cast of Daredevil. So I'm hoping for the best here, man. Honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I love honestly, because this is easily my favorite one. Because my favorite one originally was going to be Falcon the Winter Soldier, because it was just such like a cinematic event. But the more that I started watching the other ones, I started thinking, no, it's Loki, and then I started cementing myself, it's Loki season 2. But then the more that I saw Daredevil, I'm like, you know what, it's got to be Daredevil, because that they do a lot of things that are just so out of the ordinary that we're so used to from the other Disney Plus shows, that I think after Echo and Deadpool and Wolverine, we're finally starting to see that Disney is starting to embrace the character developments of these characters that we know and love from the comics, and that we're translating it into live action movies and shows to the point where you're thinking, wow, this is literally a gritty comic book come to life. And of course, I mean, I always separate the animated stuff with the live action stuff. And yes, even though the X-Men 97 is not a part of the main MCU timeline, which I think it might end up becoming so if they end up saying like the cast who is revealed for Doomsday, if those are the X-Men 97 variants, then honestly, X-Men 97 is my favorite animated series from Marvel Studios, and then Daredevil Born Again, easily my favorite live action series out of the Disney Plus shows. So those are definitely going to be either like agreeing statements or contradictory or slash controversy statements. But honestly, this is some of the best stuff I think that Marvel and Disney has ever released, despite how adult it is and despite how risk taking this whole entire show is.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I know. I'll definitely, I believe I'll end on this. The thing about Born Again and Daredevil, especially this series, is that this is a product of rewrites, reshoots, and like a creative overhaul, which is, from my point of view, I mean, I don't know if it's unprecedented, but from what I've seen, I have never seen something happen to this for a show that I love, or for a show and a franchise that I love. A creative overhaul like this big. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I can still tell, like, yeah, there's still pieces of the original series here, the original cut of Born Again, but I do think that the show is a triumph in that, apparently if the show was that bad and they managed to make it not just watchable, but really engaging, then yeah, I feel like this is such a triumph for Marvel. This is a triumph for all the creators behind the scenes, and it is a great stepping stone for season two, which I hope season two is even better. Season one is a great stepping stone and a great sign. It's a great things. It's a great signal for things to come, and if they maintain the same quality, if not better quality than this, then yeah, I'll be really satisfied and really hyped. And yeah, I'll end on that. This is a very conflicting show for me at first, but now it's going to be a very engaging and a very um, cathartic watch.
Yeah, and I'm gonna agree on that one. And I think I'll end it off with me saying that I think it was not what I was expecting as either. But honestly, with the way how they set it up, the way how the characters have been written and developed, and especially with the overhaul, the reshoots, the rewrites, I think that this is a very, very successful show. And despite if there are rumors saying like, this is one of the like the lower view watch shows and all these other different things that I've seen from different YouTube channels that maybe that they're trying to put it down. I honestly find this to be very, very engaging and very exciting. Something that I have not felt since Loki season 2, and something that I have not felt since WandaVision and Loki, and even with What If to a point, and even Hawkeye. But honestly, this is one of my favorites, my all time favorite out of the live action ones so far. And honestly, I think that, season 2 is going to be definitely a lot better, and it's going to be bigger, it's going to be bolder, and it's going to be more exciting. And I just can't wait to see where it heads off.